Why is Rupert Lowe's rape inquiry not being covered by mainstream media?
Today, we confront one of the gravest moral failures in British history. For decades, children across the United Kingdom, from as young as 4 years old, were groomed, trafficked, raped, beaten, tortured, drugged, impregnated, criminalised, murdered, and psychologically destroyed by organised groups of men and women. These were not relationships, bad choices, or lovesick teenagers, nor were they prostitutes or little white slags. These were sustained campaigns of exploitation against children who were terrified, vulnerable, and systematically trapped. Children were degraded, they were humiliated, they were controlled through violence, threats, drugs, alcohol, and terror. Children forced to carry weapons, sell drugs, and commit murder. They were forced to dig their own graves, petrol poured over them and set on fire, scriptures from the Quran read out whilst they were being gang raped. Young children placed inside microwaves, ovens, and freezers in an attempt to murder them. Ouija boards used to call on spirits and demons, animals killed and used in sexual acts against children, and children forced to abuse and rape other children. Many were passed from rapist to rapist like a piece of meat. Some did not survive their exploitation: suicide, substance abuse, and murder. This was never just about sexual gratification or money. It was about power, about domination, about breaking a child's sense of self until they believed escape was impossible and help would never come. Years later, they were told by professionals they must take medication or their children could be removed from their care. If they spoke publicly, they would lose custody. Victims were told they are too damaged by their trauma to care for their own children. They were then removed and placed into the care system and trafficked. Rapists have been invited into the lives of the victims' children. Children born from their crimes were forced into contact and custody with the men that raped their mothers by social workers and the family courts. The professionals who should have protected them did not and still aren't. This inquiry is exposing something equally horrifying: the scale of institutional failure. Warning signs were there, reports were made, patterns emerged, DNA ignored, and evidence destroyed. Yet again and again, professionals dismissed victims as troubled, promiscuous, or consenting. Children in care were written off, raped by staff, and sold onto gangs. Children from troubled homes were judged and blamed instead of safeguarded. Parents were threatened with fines and arrest if they continued to try and safeguard their children. Files were closed. Opportunities to intervene were missed or avoided. Police officers abused and raped the children and handed them back to the men that raped them, while social workers looked the other way, which allowed the predators to thrive. Whistleblowers were targeted, threatened, and silenced. And yes, politics played a role. Political parties sacrifice children for votes. When leaders hesitate to confront abuse because the issue is uncomfortable, children pay the price. Far too many children paid the price because people didn't want to be called racist or Islamophobic. This inquiry will not hesitate. We will follow evidence wherever it leads, into institutions, into systems, into cultures of silence, and into any place where truth has been buried. No race, religion, profession, no agency, no office is beyond scrutiny. To the survivors, you were children. You were not to blame, you were failed. This country should have protected you, and it did not. The true scale of what has happened and is still happening is far too large for our inquiry and will take many years to unravel. The majority of victims and families may never receive any form of justice, but that does not mean that we as an inquiry cannot be ambitious enough to try. I would like to thank MP Rupert Lowe for setting up the inquiry when our own government refused. My team for all their hard work. It's been a hard and emotional journey, and one we are still on. But more importantly, I would like to thank every participant that has worked with us and will continue to work with us after the hearings. The strength, determination and bravery of survivors of this evil crime never fail to amaze me.